to make you go to church when you were a kid?
No. Well, no, she didn't make me. I wanted to go. I wanted to go to church. And it's that the church had hurt my mother as far as not coming to see my sister in the hospital. When my sister was in the hospital for 2 months, got hit by a car. But from what I learned being in this church is that they're human. People are human that run the churches, so they make mistakes too, you know. So, they made mistakes. My mother stopped going to church, but I wanted to go so much, she didn't stop me from going. I went for months with my 2 little sisters, and we walked at least a mile to the church, and they were little, so I had them by their hand. And we went for months, and she never told me why she wasn't going, so it didn't stop me from going. But eventually, I kept asking her why she don't go no more, and eventually she told me. So that deterred me from going. I didn't want to go no more, and my sisters didn't want. They couldn't go if I wasn't taking them. So I stopped going, and I had the patent answer that you didn't have to go visit Jesus in church. That, as long as I had a clean heart and I didn't have to go. But I find that it's not true, because you drift away. You drift away, like you were saying. You drift away, and eventually I went from, curious about the Bible, not curious anymore. I mean, my mother brought me up preaching the 10 Commandments all the time. But I thought that was enough. I thought I knew the Bible because I knew that. And really, I didn't know the Bible until I came to this church. And listening to you preach, I learned the Bible, and I learned, you have to come to church. You come in weekly, and, I come 3 or 4 different times to church, and it keeps you in that mind set. And even when I wasn't going, I felt Jesus in my life. I always felt like he was there. And being away from church all the time, I turned into a sinner, and I wasn't listening to the 10 Commandments no more, and I was drinking and drugging, and what really made me curious about Jesus is I always felt him there. And there's a couple times where I could have overdosed and died, and I felt like he was there, sat with me. And I mean, a couple times when I came to, I was talking to him. I looked around and there was nobody there. I was talking to him. And one time it even felt like he helped me up off the ground. And I swear he said to me, "Are you done sinning? Are you ready?" And I said, for some stupid reason, I said no. I think I was thinking of a party that was down a couple of days down the road. I said no. And he let me go, and I hit the ground. I fell. So something was helping me, holding me up. And I believe it was him. And that stuck with me for a long time. I always thought, when I'm ready to stop and go to church, I want to find out who this person is that loves me, even though I felt like I didn't deserve the love that he was showing me. And, I hit a blank.
That's all right. So now, I remember when we first met, you were down south, and you heard about this church, like online or on the radio or something?
Yeah, so I thought it was down there, and I was looking for it. And there was some kind of commercial, unless it's a church with the same idea, I don't know. But when I came here, I was telling my cousin about it, because she lives here. And she goes, "I heard of that church, it's SNL." And then I lived in Tiberias. She said, "It's right here in Tiberias somewhere." And I was looking for it. And then you had moved to Route 44. I finally found it, and it was a week before Christmas.
Yeah.
And it was another thing I had in my head, listening, people come to church when they're sick and they want to be saved. And when it's Christmas, they come, and I'm thinking, I don't want to go under those pretense. So, and then I said, you know what? I'm always finding a reason not to go. I'm going.
Yeah.
And, by that time I had stopped doing drugs and drinking. It's been 4 years now, so
Awesome.
I come to find out who Jesus was that loved me all this time, and even when I was sinning, and I come to church and I find out he loves everybody. You know, everybody's his kids, and he loves them no matter what they do.
Mhm.
Just like if my son or my daughter did anything wrong, I'm gonna love them. I'm not gonna
Right.
disown them or anything.
Right. Right. So what's your relationship with your Bible now? I know you used to not read it all. It didn't make any sense. You know, you were going to school. Schoolwork was difficult. You couldn't really make sense of it all. And then you had something changed inside you with your relationship with God in your Bible when you were reading. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I eventually listening to you preach, and I mean,
That'll screw you up.
No, you did great. You did great. I mean, you were talking at my level. It seemed like, or you know, a lot of times I thought you were talking directly to me. And no, I started reading the Bible, and it was all falling together, making sense. And what really stuck with me is when you told me the Bible's alive. And I kept thinking, what does he mean by that? And finally I realized that Bible I feel like sometimes that it's talking to me, you know? I mean, any answer, any question you have, the answer's in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And there's books that have answers on math, there's books that have the answers on science. This book has answers of any question you can think of. There's that
crazy.
answer's in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. And what was going on with me with school was, I've been out of school, I graduated high school, but I've been out of school for 35 years, so I got a lot of cobwebs, and you know, and I was really struggling. And I know if you remember, you kept asking me, you want to come to Bible study? And I said, I can't, I got to study. You want to come to this church dinner? And I said, I can't, I got to study. And the men's book reading there, and I said, no, I can't, I got to study, you know, if I fall behind. And you were telling me, you know, you got to learn to let go, let Jesus help you, and it'll come together. And you know, I was struggling, and it was making me nervous. And finally, to tell you the truth, I figured I'm gonna let it go, like he said. I'm gonna let it go into Jesus' hand. And when I fail this course, I'm gonna go back and tell Moses, look what you did to me, because now I flunked out, you know? And what usually took me 5 hours to do, I went to one of the church dinners, and when I got there, I had 3 hours to do what usually took me 5 hours to do. And I went home to do it. I said, okay, I moved the clock. I'm not gonna watch the clock. I'm just gonna do this. I was done with the paper. I submitted it, and I looked at the clock. I had an hour left. I did 2 hours what took me 5 hours to do. And I says, okay, now the big test, and let's see what this professor does.
Yeah.
And this is a paper that the professor actually told me, this is one of your best papers. I got an A on it.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
so now I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I go home, I relax, I do the paper. One thing I was struggling with was doing, lost it again. When I was doing research, that was one of the problems I had.
Yep.
And now it just comes to me, and
Yeah.
I have no problem with the
That's
classes.
awesome.
I'm getting A's,
Sweet.
and it's
Nice.
amazing. And
Yeah. So what would you say, just to kind of finish up, what would you say is the biggest thing that Jesus has done in your life since you started coming? I mean, I know that your relationship with him really started to sprout when you started coming to the church here about a year or so ago. What's the biggest thing that Jesus has done in your life?
Well, the biggest thing, which to me, someone might not think it's that big, but to me, the biggest thing is it took the worry. I used to worry about everything. I'd leave, I'd worry if I left something cooked in, I'd worry where I was gonna live next day, I'd worry if I was gonna have enough money to eat the rest of the month. I worried about everything.
Yeah.
I worried about my family, I worried about my kids. I mean, I worried if my car was gonna break down, we'll be able to fix it. I worried about everything. And it was affecting my health. I worried about things that sometimes I'd shake about it. And,
Why don't you worry anymore?
well, you were telling me that I'm not in control of everything, to let things go and to rely on Jesus going to take care of you. And when I finally got baptized, I just figured I was gonna 100% give myself to Jesus and let him take care of me. And when I was dunked and came up, I felt the weight come off of me. And it wasn't because I was in that pool. I just felt like 200 pounds that was sitting on my shoulders was gone. I don't worry about anything anymore. And it's amazing. That's the biggest thing that Jesus has done for me since I've been here. And one thing was, I don't want to hit these blankets, but if someone wanted to meet me that goes to this church, or someone that's new and wants to talk to me, I could tell them 25 different things that's happened to me. One of the things that happened was I had 3 days left of my medication, and I have to take my medication. I tried stopping before, it don't work. There's just some medication I have that I'd have to be weaned off of it if I was gonna stop it. I had pills for 3 days. I had no money to buy the prescriptions, and I just figured, okay, I'm not worrying about things. Jesus will take care of this. And I think I was telling you about it. Actually, I did tell you about it because I came to you, and I thought somehow you put money in my account. And
Sorry, buddy, to disappoint you.
And I said, how did you access my account? And I think you thought that I was saying that you took money out. And you said, how would I access your account? I don't have your security code or
nothing.
And I would never take money out of your account. And I said, no, you didn't take money out. You put money in. And you said, no, I didn't. And $100 showed up in my account. And I went down, I got my prescriptions and everything, but then I went back and I retraced back. And what happened was, I'm doing the college course, and I get the loan direct deposit, student loans direct deposit into my account. And what happened was, when they took out for books, they took out $100 too much. So they found the mistake and they submitted the $100 back in there.
Yeah.
And if that's not Jesus at work.
Oh, that's just a coincidence. I mean, the timing, come on, right? It's evolution, right? Yeah.
I had all those patent answers. It's
the Big Bang.
Yeah,
It banged into your bank account.
Yeah, it's a coincidence and all this. It's not. It's Jesus.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's cool, man. I appreciate you taking some time. That's awesome.
Yeah. Like I said, someone could question me if they want. I got 25 different things that's happened to me like that. So.
Yeah, awesome.